Tonight, President John Mahama removes Chief Justice Arabasaki Torkonoo from office with immediate effect on grounds of stated misbehavior following the submission of a damning report by Justice Scott Pwaman Committee. We'll hear from Government Communications Minister, who has dispelled views that President Mahama's historic decision is a political witch hunt.
And they recommended the removal of the Chief Justice for stated misbehavior. The former Deputy Attorney General is fully aware that the President has no choice in the matter. The President cannot decide to agree or disagree with the findings of the...
Meanwhile, former Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuah has described the removal as a huge assault on Ghana's judiciary.
But from what we read from the petition, if this can form the base for the removal of a Chief Justice, I give up. I'm sad but not surprised.
We'll bring you more reaction from the legal community here on Top Story. Top Story, as always, is brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies. My name is Fostina. Sarfo, please stay for details. Thanks for choosing us. Tonight, President John Dramani Mahama, in a historic move in Ghana's judicial history, has removed the Chief Justice Arabasaki Torkonoo from office with immediate effect. Well, this follows the submission of a damning report by the Justice Scott Pwaman Committee. The committee, established to investigate petitions against the Chief Justice, found grounds of, quote, stated misbehavior, unquote, and recommended her removal. The removal of the Chief Justice Torkonoo marks a significant milestone in the country's judicial history, as she becomes the first sitting Chief Justice in the Fourth Republic to be removed through a constitutional impeachment process. President Mahama acted swiftly, endorsing the committee's findings and effecting the removal in accordance with Article 1469 of the 1992 Constitution. After sifting through 10,000 pages of evidence, the committee concluded that the Chief Justice had indeed engaged in misconduct, warranting her removal from office. Now, despite her vigilant efforts to resist the probe, including filing suits at the High Court and the Supreme Court, and even seeking recourse at ECOWAS courts, the committee's findings were deemed conclusive. Justice Pwaman submitted that report to the presidency today. Here's what he said.
Mr. President, in March this year, you received 3 petitions pursuant to Article 146 of the Constitution 1992 for the removal of Chief Justice Arabasaki Torkonoo, and the public was made aware of these facts. Subsequent processes dictated by the Constitution and the decisions of our Supreme Court were gone through, culminating in the establishment of our committee under Article 146, Clause 6 of the Constitution. The nation was further duly informed, and when we commenced our work on the 15th of May 2025, the Minister of State for Government Communications was briefed to notify the public about it. There has been considerable interest in our work, shown through comments and opinions by Ghanaians and international observers as well. However, the committee restrained itself all along from reacting, even when blatant false statements were made about members of the committee and our work. To the committee, our mandate and remit is set out under Article 146, Clauses 7 and 8 of the Constitution. It's clear, and it is to inquire into the petitions in camera, hear the person against whom the petitions have been brought in her defense by herself or by her lawyer or other aspect of interest, and then make a recommendation to you, Mr. President. As I have said above, 3 petitions were referred to us. And though all 3 petitions seek the same relief, each petition is distinct and would succeed or fail on its individual strengths or weaknesses. Mr. President, without disclosing the substance of the proceedings, and since in-camera proceedings is not the same as in secret, we can state that in respect of the first petition, we received evidence by Mr. Daniel Ofori, the first petitioner, through 13 witnesses. Similarly, the Chief Justice in her defense called 12 witnesses, including expert witnesses, as she is entitled to do under the Constitution. The Chief Justice testified personally and was cross-examined. The committee received about 10,000 pages of documentary evidence from both sides. There were 4 lawyers that represented the first petitioner, Daniel Ofori, and 4 lawyers represented the Chief Justice. Mr. President, after critical and dispassionate examination and assessment of all the evidence, including the expert evidence, against the provisions of the Constitution and the relevant laws, we have, without fear or favor, arrived at a recommendation on the first petition. The recommendation is contained in the envelope which I now give to you.
Well, the President has acted on the committee's recommendation and removed the Chief Justice from office. My colleague Michael Ashale joins me in the studio. Michael, now you've been following this story, especially the first time when the Chief Justice broke her silence on this, when she accused the presidency of breaching due process. But let's start currently with the presidency's statement confirming that indeed she has been removed from office.
Well, so that statement from President John Dramani Mahama is just a one-page statement and goes ahead and says that, well, this is in accordance with Article 146, Clause 9 of the 1992 Constitution. President Mahama has removed Chief Justice, Her Ladyship, Justice Gertrude Iraba Isaba Saki Torkonoo, from office with immediate effect. It tells us that this follows the receipt of the report from the Justice Permanent Committee that they received earlier today, and that in accordance to Article 146, Clause 6, to inquire into a petition submitted by the Ghanaian citizen, Mr. Daniel Ofori. Now, after considering the petition and the evidence, the committee found that the grounds of stated misbehavior under Article 146, Clause 1 had been established and recommended her removal from office. So, the major reason that the presidency is giving us, or telling us, the committee recommended to them, is that the prima facie case, as alluded to by the Council of State at the time that they written to President Mahama, has not been confirmed, and that the reason they can find that and put that under is stated misbehavior by Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo. And this, he says that, well, in accordance with Article 146 Clause 1 and 146 Clause 9, they have recommended, President John Dramani Mahama, has assented to the recommendation from the committee and removed her from office.
Interesting times ahead. But so far, the removal of the Chief Justice has sent shockwaves through Ghana's legal and political circles. The legal community, they've been reacting to this. They say it comes to them as no surprise. Let's listen to the former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kwekwansa Asare, speaking on this issue on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. He says, so far, there is no evidence that the president is breaking the law.
I expected this, outcome, but the verdict is in accordance with the recommendation of the CJ removal committee. And once the committee recommends the removal of the Chief Justice, the president has no choice but to perform his constitutional obligation to remove the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice did not, give herself any chance whatsoever, to be heard appropriately. I mean, the confrontational, attitude that she took, made it impossible for her to return, to resume her official duties. She was so abrasive, taking, the government here, government there, going to ECOWAS, and I don't think, that we should be sad about this. We should rather be happy.
Happy for what? Exactly.
Yes, that the constitution is working. This is a democracy. And if the president has to act, every step the president takes, he must act in accordance with the constitution. So far, I am yet to be convinced that the president has contravened the constitutional processes. No one has been able to pinpoint exactly where President Mahama has gotten it wrong.
Well, human rights lawyer and lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Law, Professor Kojo Appiah agrees that no law has been broken.
Constitutional angle, the process went as laid down in the Constitution, and you cannot talk about any constitutional steps which were sidestepped or were not followed. But when you look at the political angle, it may tell a different picture. And I think that is where Mr. Tuenwa may be coming from. And it's difficult to read into that and to read the mind of the president and conclude this way or that way. But I think that with all due respects and looking at the matter from the angle of the Chief Justice's steps, making applications here and there, motions here and there, I think it was her right to follow those procedures. So in my opinion, I don't think it's any, her posture may have contributed to her removal. She had to fight for her rights. And it's difficult to read into the political motives, but constitutionally, nothing wrong was done. And I agree with the decision that was taken by the president. So long as the decision has been made by the committee, there's no need to wait for even a second or two, because the decision has been made. And it is also, he is bound by the Constitution. The Constitution says he shall abide by the decision of the committee. So that is exactly what he has done. I've already made a point that there are some constitutional loopholes, and probably this was taken advantage of by the president, or he relied on it to ensure the removal of the president.
Well, Michael Ashali is still with me in the studio as we look at some of the key details of these petitions. We know that there were 3 different petitions brought before the committee, and so far they have finalized of just one. Give me details of this petition by Daniel Ofori.
So as far back as 14th of February, that's when the first petition against the Chief Justice Torkonoo was sent to the presidency, and this was from Shining Stars, Ghana. And that the allegation was that incompetence and breach of constitutional process. Again, sometime later after that, then we know that Yakubu Akogo also sent one. That allegation was that gross misconduct during a court proceedings. The person went ahead to talk about the Chief Justice that was sitting on the case at the time had given some orders for that person to be removed from the court. We've had the Chief Justice respond to that wasn't the account of how it happened actually, that the person was disturbing the procedure of the court. Now, sometime later after that particular second petition, that's when the third one comes. The third one that is sort of the final nail in her coffin, Daniel Ofori. And this allegation was that generally misuse of funds for personal travel and expenses. And firstly, definitely, the details we know, as he wrote in that petition to the presidency, this was specifically sent to the president on the 17th of March, 2025. Now, it says that it was accusing the CJ of misappropriating over 261,000 Ghana cedis in public funds in 2023 for personal international trips with her husband, Mr. Francis Kofi Torkonoo, and daughter, Edem Torkonoo. Now, as part of the allegations, he also alleged that she also collected over 75,580 Ghana cedis for a separate trip to Tanzania and failed to properly account for a $14,000 interest. And these are the major allegations that he sort of raised in his petition against the CJ, for which he felt she should be removed. Don't forget again that the Council of State had sat on these petitions and had given the president the go-ahead to forward it to the Justice Performance Committee for it to be probed further.
Well, let's listen now to the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Chiayeboah, reacting to the petition.
I'll say I'm sad but not surprised. I'm sad because this is an an unholy assault on the independence of the judiciary. This has a far-reaching consequence moving into the future. This goes to buttress the point that whoever sits in as a Chief Justice from today should also be thinking about the future implications.
Even if there is no case of stated misbehavior against that person?
I'll be coming there. If you sit in that office, the possibility of flimsy petitions being used to remove you is very high. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm not surprised because this one is in fulfillment of a campaign promise. This is a clear case where a political actor before elections campaigned on the promise to remove a Chief Justice. Upon assuming office, had some people filing petitions for the removal, and today the result. Looking at the current petition that has been used to remove the Chief Justice, I can say without any fear of contradiction that anyone who sits in that office as a Chief Justice will have the possibility of being removed based on such flimsy petition. That is my fear as a lawyer.
And that will mean virtually destroying this independent arm of government.
I tell you, that's what I'm saying. We've broke that virginity, we've destroyed the judiciary, and posterity will not forgive us. The removal of a Chief Justice is a serious business, but from what we read from the petition, if this can form the basis for the removal of a Chief Justice, I give up the threshold. If the threshold is so low, as we've seen in this case, then it will be so easy for any Chief Justice to be removed. I agree that we won't due for, even though she had challenge with regarding her fundamental human rights.
Former Deputy Attorney General there, Alfred Tuah, warning that the removal of the Chief Justice actually sets a dangerous precedent and chips away at the independence of the judiciary. Let's explore this further here on Top Story. Join me now is Ni Aikweotu, his lead counsel for the Chief Justice. We appreciate your time here on Top Story. I want to start with your initial reaction. I'm sure you've been engaging your client. What's her demeanor as we speak?
Well, let's talk about what has happened now. Not a demeanor. The important thing is that let me say I do associate myself completely with all the sentiments expressed by my colleague Swayibua. That is a very dangerous precedent that they are setting, and it will come back to eat them. It was clearly stated that they would make sure that she is removed. This is not only against the Chief Justice, but we are hearing about sentiments of removing the chairperson of the UC and all the other top members of the UC. That has also been counted. So it's a very simple matter, as put it. Just call one or two people to present some sort of petition, and then immediately you say, "Oh, I've made a sort of factual determination," and then the people you set the processes on, and then like it has happened this morning, we are told that she has been removed. First of all, we are those admin the petition, but because of the in-camera hearing, we refuse to engage the media. But now that it's over, I think we are free to talk. 3 petitions were filed. They dealt with one. They adjourned the others, especially the one involving the Charlotte Star, to 15th of September. That day has not arrived. Now, at the end of every trial, now that we have so many people reading law, I think everybody knows that at the end of each trial, you are entitled to file a written address tell the court or the committee how you saw whatever it was. We were asked to file our written address last Monday. We asked for 1 week extension. They told us we could try and do it within the time. We only filed it today. Before we could say that, they have report presented and petition already. So did we take our views into consideration, or is just a PR complete? They have written whatever they wanted to write and just sent it to the president. You are talking about over 10,000 pages of recipes. When did the president have time to read through all this to come to the conclusion that this was fair and that he should remove the Chief Justice? And then, for those of us who were sitting in the room where the thing happened, we had 24 grounds of misstated misbehavior from authority and about 4 of incompetence. We are being told that they have dealt with authorities what? We have sent a letter written to the Chief Justice informing her that she has been removed. And they are looking at 3 matters. One of them was that he asked for the expansion of the Court of Appeal to about 20. When Mahama took office, one of the first things he did was to put up about 7 people to be appointed to the Supreme Court, citing that she was the one who even spoke about expansion. At the end of the day, he has got all his people sworn in as Supreme Court judges. And the same reason has been used to remove it. Meanwhile, when Professor Harry wrote his petition to Nana Addo to remove him, based upon this, the Council of State said there was no prima facie case. The president said there was no prima facie case. As lawyers for the defendant, we put all these reports in to show that there was a res judicata. That matter has been completely dealt with.
Okay, I see how passionate you are about this issue. But then the committee has given their recommendation after listening to all the witnesses, which you were allowed to also present your witnesses during the petition, and they say that there's enough grounds to remove the Chief Justice. As her legal counsel, what's the next way forward, especially because you're in the ECOWAS court and you're contesting this, but she has been removed?
And I'm telling you that there are no grounds for a removal, and that whatever they have done is wrong. Even if the Chief Justice travels and she has to be given a per diem, is it for her to determine how much she will get? I have served in government office before. It is the chief director who work and come and give us money and tell you that this is your per diem. And she's giving a per diem. And part of the per diem is given to the person he's traveling with. No auditor has come out to say that he has done anything wrong. Madam, this is a serious matter. Don't trivialize it at all. And we are using this to say that she has caused what? Has she misappropriated any funds?
And indeed, it's a serious matter. It's the first time something of this nature is happening in the Fourth Republic. But I'm just going through the speech that the chairman of the committee actually read today before submitting that report, 10,000 pages to the president. And he states that, indeed, there were 4 lawyers represented in the first petitioner work, as well as 4 lawyers representing the Chief Justice. He goes on to state that there were different individuals who came out to actually talk about it. And he goes on to state, let me quote him, without disclosing the substance of the proceedings, and since in-camera proceeding is not the same as in secret, we can state that in respect of the first petition, we received evidence by Mr. Ofori, the first petitioner, through 13 different witnesses. And we're just hearing from counsel of the Chief Justice here, saying that the whole process is flawed, going against this, and they are quite upset. Let me bring in Godwin Eduji Tamaklu, Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC. We appreciate your time here on Top Story. Based on the chairman's speech today, he says their work has been done individuals have been cross-examined by the committee, and they've come to the conclusion that indeed this is the way forward. But the opposition, the NDC, MPP, as well as the lawyer for the Chief Justice, feels otherwise. Let me get your initial reaction.
My lady, good evening, and good evening to my learned senior, the respected senior group. I've listened to him. By way of opinion, let me say, President John Dramani Mahama has acted within what the Constitution 1993 requires him to do. He has not taken any decision not permitted by the laws of this country. That said, in listening to him, my senior makes the point that the president, if I'm right, has not had the benefit to make a determination whether the recommendation by the committee was fair to warrant a removal. May I say, there is no such constitutional requirement or responsibility on the president under Article 146 to make a determination as to the fairness or otherwise of the recommendations made by the committee. The president cannot, under the circumstances, say that the committee has recommended based on as fact, and that he, the president, disagrees with it. The president does not have the benefit of that factual inquiry to disagree or make a determination that it is fair or otherwise.
Lawyer, let me just get your thoughts on this. There were 3 different petitions submitted to the presidency. Only one has actually gone through the process. Why not wait for the other 2 petitions to go through the process, and then we can relieve her of her duties if indeed enough grounds have been found?
You know the classic example I'll give. And my senior, Ayiko, who on maybe I'll learn under his feet, appreciate that where you have specific, and I use this as I said, criminal charges against an accused person, it does not matter. Once on one of the charges, and remember that the 3 petitions, okay, do not have one petitioner. They are separate petitions. So if, in the wisdom of the committee, they've concluded the work of one, nothing under law precludes them from submitting their recommendation. It's as good as in a criminal case, an accused person is facing multiple cases of criminality in different courts. One court can conclude a case and say, on this charge case, we are done with it. I proceed to convict you. And then they'll go ahead and convict and sentence. It does not bring an end to the other charges that you are facing in other courts. This thing had happened many times in our jurisprudence. And so, the whole idea that the committee ought to make its recommendation in respect of all 3 petitions before the president can proceed is not supported by law. It is not even supported by practice. In fact, like we say, they are not consolidated. In fact, even when they are consolidated, you give different judgments. And that is well known. I'm really surprised that, with respect, that position can be canvassed.
Okay. Eduji, allow me to come in at this point. I'm just wondering what the international implications will be on Ghana, especially because we know the Chief Justice has gone to the ECOWAS court and she's challenging the entire process. She's actually seeking for some $10 million from Ghana because of the whole process, which she terms as flawed. And already we have issued a verdict.
The last time I checked, Ghana is a sovereign state, correct? We have a unique law called the 1992 Constitution. 2, what I do know is that there is no pending injunction against the government of Ghana from proceeding with the petition or the impeachment processes. In the absence of that, there is no further. I'm also aware, now removed Chief Justice wanted the ECOWAS court to sit during the vacation. That, my understanding, is that did not happen. So there is no further whatsoever with the committee from proceeding with its work and recommending her removal, which recommendation His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, has, on that basis, proceeded to remove her.
Now, thank you so much, Eduji Tamaklo. He is Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC. Let me bring in currently Ni Aikotu, his lead counsel for the Chief Justice, just to get his brief reaction to some of the concerns being raised by Eduji. Ni, you've heard the counsel raise salient points about the entire process. He's of the opinion that they've gone through the law and the verdict is clear.
He has not made any submission worth considering in respect of the issues that we are raising. I am not aware of any procedure who says that if you are charged with 10 counts, after 2 counts, the court will stop and say, out of me, I found you liable. The rest, I will not do it. I will not go into them anymore. I have not, in my practice of 44 years, come across any such procedure. What you do is that you go through the entire charges and say that out of 10, I find you guilty on 2. That is all. I don't know what he's talking about. I've never said it before. I've never heard it done anywhere. That while the petitions are pending in an indecent age,
allow me to go in at this point. I'm just going through the speech that was delivered by the chair of the committee today when he submitted the petition and the final findings of the committee to the presidency. In the last paragraph, he says, the second petitioner, as well as the Chief Justice, pleaded with the committee that the second petition, which would have been next to be inquired, to be adjourned, and they actually accepted their request. So it is the case that the Chief Justice wasn't willing to hear the other petitions immediately.
Is that your understanding? That is not what happened. They adjourned the case to last week Monday to start with shining stars. We asked for an adjournment because we were preparing our written addresses to file. So he said, can you give us 1 week to consider it? Meanwhile, the shining stars asked for 3 weeks adjournment. And the committee agreed and adjourned the hearing to 15th of September. He himself said so this morning, that they have adjourned it to 15th September. What is that you talking about? That they have decided that out of things they will deal with, they are finished with one founder level. And so the rest they will hear. They told us they have adjourned it to the 15th of September. So with this year complete, what do they expect us to do? Are they expecting us to come to the committee on the 15th of September or what? What is the head for? I said we have not even signed our written submission. We did it today. They have not even read it. They have not even read it. They said they are finished.
critics argue that these are independent petitions, and so if one has been concluded, the president has to act on the recommendation of that petition. I'm wondering, what's the next line of action for you as legal counsel to the Chief Justice?
What do you think? What do you think should be the next line of action? They have told you that when they do the work, present their report, the president is to act by it. The president says I've acted by it. Now, at the time the committee was meeting, because it was in camera, we couldn't speak. And I'm telling you, this is the opportunity for us to speak. We are telling you what took place was wrong. That is what we are addressing now. So stop asking us, what is the next line? What is the next line? He has written saying that he has removed the person, and we are now inquiring into the grounds that he said he has used. If you want here to learn, let me tell you that these were the 3 grounds they have used, and they do not make any sense. They don't make any sense. You cannot use yourself to remove a whole person.
Thank you so much for your time here on Top Story. Nia Iko is lead counsel for the Chief Justice. Earlier, I spoke to Godwin Eduji Tamaklu, Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC. My name is Fostina Sarfo. I'm handing the baton over to Newsnight. Evans Mensah.
It's a major developing story, obviously, and we are all over this. And I know there's going to be more on television, and you'll be hosting that at 7. But here on Newsnight, we are continuing, if you're just joining us, the unprecedented development around the Chief Justice who has been removed. It has never happened in our history, at least in the Fourth Republic, the way it's happened, and we're going to be bringing you more reactions to that. We're going to be hearing from the communications director of the presidency himself, Felix Kwachifosu, will be speaking to us on what has happened. Why did the president decide to go ahead and remove following that recommendation, although there were 2 other petitions yet to be heard? We'll be answering that question. He's also been dismissing allegations that this is all part of a witch hunt. We're also going to be hearing from the Ghana Bar Association tonight. You remember they spoke on the matter at the time when this whole controversy erupted. We'll be hearing from civil society too. This is a major development indeed as far as the judiciary is concerned. But what next is the big question. What next for the judiciary is the big question tonight. We'll be answering here on Newsnight. Also tonight, we have 14 more dead in the ongoing Gonja-Brifo ethnic clash in Biri, where we are now learning that the death toll has risen to 31 as the Savannah regional minister expresses optimism on ongoing interventions from the government and the Yagbon Wura. We will bring you more on this developing story. Also, we'll hear from the regional NADMO who are working round the clock to meet the Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak as directive to submit data on all displaced persons for immediate government action. You want to stay with us for that because we are going to bring you the developing story around that. Also tonight, opposition MPP boycotts scheduled meeting with the National Peace Council to sign a peace pact ahead of tomorrow's Aquitia By-Election over concerns the NDC's leadership have chosen constituency executives to represent the party at the meeting.
So we raised this issue. So unfortunately, we cannot continue the meeting. They have requested from the National Peace Council that they are going to inform their leadership. And for that matter, we need to give them some future.
We'll bring you more details as the EC announces plans to introduce a new approach of transmitting electoral results tomorrow. We have business for you too.
And Chamber of Petroleum Consumers warn recent pressure on city could push petroleum prices higher than expected for this week.
And let's stay right now with the ongoing developing story around the removal of the Chief Justice. As we've been hearing over the last couple of hours, the President has acted on the recommendation of the committee that was set up, and that committee has submitted its report to him, and they had recommended that the Chief Justice be removed. We've been hearing from the President's Director of Communications, who speaks for the government, Felix Kwachifosu, who has been dismissing allegations that this is all part of a grand witch hunt.
It is not fair to make these blanket statements without any basis. The Constitution of Ghana was written before President Mahama took office. It does not attribute political motivation for the use of Article 146 for the purpose of removing his affairs. So why then does he then question the use of the same Article 146 for the removal of the Chief Justice based on petitions that were received, which petitions were taken through due process as prescribed by the Constitution, and recommended the removal of the Chief Justice for stated misbehavior.
Right.
The former Deputy Attorney General is fully aware that the President has no choice in the matter. The President cannot decide to agree or disagree with the findings of the committee and therefore the recommendations. The President is bound to act in the same way that President Akufo-Addo once told the people of Ghana that he was bound to act once a petition comes before him because the Constitution stipulates so. So the basis for this claim of political motivation is completely unfounded. That the NDC in the past criticized the conduct of the Chief Justice and the Supreme Court or the entire judiciary of Ghana is no reason why, if a basis is determined by the committee for her removal, action should not be taken. It is not sufficient basis to allege political motivation in this particular matter. Justice Torkonoo was removed from office upon the recommendation of the Justice Torkonoo Committee. Then he is also going to remove every Chief Justice that he comes to be. The law does not make way for that. Due process must be followed, and it must be seen to be followed. If another Chief Justice is appointed and they come to power and they find that there is basis for his removal, or they receive petitions and go through the same process, they are entitled to do so, just as they remove Charlotte Afei. But what we should not be countenancing is this flip-flopping. The idea that 2 legs are good but 4 legs are bad, and that if the MPP initiate processes to remove the head of an independent body, constitutional body, that is okay, well and good, it should be applauded. But if another party comes to power and the president acts in accordance with the Constitution to take certain steps as prescribed by that Constitution, then that one is bad. I don't think that we can come to that juncture.
Well, if you're just joining us right now, the Chief Justice, Aquitia Torkonoo, has now been removed. She is no longer the Chief Justice of the Republic. It followed the recommendation submitted to the President on the back of that committee that was set up under the Constitution. The committee has acted on that, and the Chief Justice is gone. My colleague with me in the studio, Kenneth, Gyasi, will be going through this breaking story for you. In the course of this process, there were several challenges that were filed at the court seeking to stop the president and stop the process, raising fundamental legal and constitutional questions. One of them was filed by Vincent Ekwasafo. He's the MP for Old Tafo. He joins me on the line right now. Thank you very much, Ekwasafo, for your time here on Newsnight. Give me your reaction to the outcome as communicated by the presidency today.
Well, I think that I suspected that they will come, especially based on the fact that the very first day that I went to court, the atmosphere within the court environment and even the courtroom suggested that there's a grand scheme for more seconds to remove the Chief Justice. So I am not surprised at all. The only challenge that I have is the attempt by government spokesperson to equalize what happened with Charlotte Afei. So it seems to me that in substance, they had nothing substantial really against the Chief Justice, but because it happened, or the same provision was triggered in the case of Charlotte Afei, we should not have anything wrong against what is happening. That is shameful. The integrity of Ghana has been bad. Ghana's image has been put into test. The image has been battered because of the overly politicization of the judiciary.
I mean, but this is a constitutional process that is stipulated in law. Which part of this was violated? For which reason it's become a political one that puts us to shame as a country?
I've had hope to educate the media and some section of the Ghanaians on the fact that something has not been stated clearly in the Constitution does not mean that you cannot find fault to it. The fact that you cannot see that something has been stated doesn't mean that nothing has been violated. I have had cause to see that in reading our Constitution, it is very important that the spirit of the Constitution and the intent of the premise of the Constitution is very important. And so if you interpret the Constitution and interpret it in such a way that contemporaneously the interpretation will lead to an absurdity, why do you go ahead and tell me that because that has been stated, nothing has been violated? That cannot be a proper interpretation of the law. And it is wrong, anybody or any lawyer who tells you that because the term has been stated, and for that matter, you should interpret it the way it is, that lawyer is deceiving.
Well, this is not about lawyers, is it? I mean, because you took this before a court of competence jurisdiction, and they were unanimous that you had no case.
Well, I am saying that the first day I got the courtroom, I've already indicated to you that it was clear that there's a grant here to remove the Chief Justice because the Chief Justice has not been lied, or for lack of better words, has not done things that will endear herself to other colleagues. And so that is another discussion that we can have. But procedurally, do you think that Ghana, where we've got into, this is how cheap we should remove our Chief Justice? This is how easy we should remove our Chief Justice? That cannot be the case. And that is why I'm saying that it is an assault to our democracy. Whatever has happened today is an assault to the independence of the judiciary, and this should not have happened. This will come back to hurt us today. Maybe because of goodwill. A lot of Ghanaians are not speaking against it, but tomorrow you realize that this is the biggest mistake that any fourth Republican president has made, that it is going to haunt us, it is going to assault our future generation will come and realize that this thing that happened shouldn't have happened. It is just on the altar of politics. It is just on the altar of we do not like this woman, and for that matter, whether she likes it or not, she will have to live.
Well, the decision has been taken now. If you're looking forward to what happens next, obviously, a substantive Chief Justice will have to be appointed. That is subject to parliamentary oversight. That individual will have to be vetted by Parliament. The entire House will have to consider whether or not to approve subsequent to the committee's recommendations. Will whoever it is who is put forward, will that name get the nod of the MPP side?
Well, even before then, I believe that in combing through the Constitution this afternoon, I find that final judicial power will have to rest with the judiciary and with the court, and not the President of the Republic of Ghana. So I support that if I was the Chief Justice or the removed Chief Justice, by way of an application to the Supreme Court, there should be a right of an appeal for the decision of the recommendation, because the recommendation is, if you like, a decision that has been given against the Chief Justice, and final judicial decision-making of such a nature should not lie with a committee, but with the judiciary. So, even though the Constitution does not clearly say that the Chief Justice can appeal, but I am saying that in reading the Constitution, by way of its letter and spirit, the Chief Justice should probably go to court by way of the right of appeal to make sure that the recommendations that were given in the recommendations of the committee can have a different look at.
It's interesting, Vincent, you say that, because we spoke to the lead counsel for the Chief Justice, Nia Ikotu, a very experienced lawyer, a former Attorney General. We asked the same question. In his view, this is fait accompli. It's done. So how are you coming to the conclusion?
I am saying that when you read the Constitution itself, final judicial making body rest with the judiciary, and that is, I think, Article 125 and 127, the combined effect of both, I think. But if that is the case, because final decision making does not lie with the committee, my understanding of the law and per my interpretation that I can give, I think that the Chief Justice has a right of appeal and can appeal to the Supreme Court, that because the committee cannot have final judicial making decision, or cannot be a final judicial making body, can call on the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to, as it will, look at the recommendation once again. But that is the prerogative of the Chief Justice, whether she's interested in that or not. But of course, when an appointment is made, the president has spoken. So for us on the part of the minority, we will accept the one who is going to be appointed on its merits and its competence as per the Constitution, and we do our job as a minority, or if like members of Parliament.
Vincent, thank you very much. He's one of those MPs who filed a process challenging the entire process leading to the removal of the Chief Justice has now been consummated. The President has accepted the recommendation of that committee. They've sent him their report today with recommendation for the Chief Justice to go, and the President accepted it because, as we've heard from the Chief Government spokesperson, Felix Kwachifosu, he has no option in the matter. Still live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM on the evening when we are witnesses to history, the removal of a sitting Chief Justice to the constitutional process.
Indeed, Evans, that's an unprecedented event that has happened in the Fourth Republic. But let's go to the Savannah region now, because the death toll in ongoing Gonja-Brefo ethnic clash in Benyere has risen from 17 to 31. Well, the clash between the two ethnic groups in the last week has also displaced over 48,000 people, with over 14,000 others seeking refuge in neighboring Burkina Faso, or Ivory Coast, I should say. Currently, there is pressure on limited resources as the makeshift camps are struggling to contain the increase in numbers. First, listen to some residents who say they're struggling to survive on a 1 square meal.
Since the
conflict, we've been wearing just one cloth. We have to wash it, rinse it, and wear it again. We want to go back home to get some of our belongings, but we can't. The women have fled, leaving everything behind, including the granates. We need help. We left everything behind. I have farms and livestock, but now I don't know what to do. All our properties are just left there.
And the chama
we are far from the location where they are distributing food. By the time you get there, it's all finished. Yesterday, we just got one meal, and that was even after 4 p.m. We didn't get anything in the morning or afternoon.
Right, so you heard there some of the residents explaining their ordeal. Meanwhile, a delegation of chiefs, security officers, and the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has been touring the camps today after a RECSEC meeting on the development. While speaking to the media after the tour, the Savannah Regional Minister, Salisu B. Aurabe, confirms the death toll now stands at 31.
It is our prayer that with this exercise and with the intervention of several actors, within the shortest time, we'll be able to overcome this and for the people to be reintegrated to the various communities for them to benefit whatever investment that they've had. Truly, from the interactions, it is clear that the ownership of land is in the hands of the King, the Gongra, and his paramount chiefs, and none. If indeed we're able to restore, then I can tell you that you'll be more than happy to be here. And we get more investors to come here to invest because peace and absolute peace is the result. As for the last count,
the number of deaths.
31. That is a rough estimate that I have got. Minister, that I can say is around 31.
Okay.
Let's stay in the region and speak to our correspondent, Rebecca Natoma. Thank you very much for your time this evening, Rebecca. You've been on a tour with the team today. Explain to us what really their living condition is, the residents.
Okay. Currently, as we speak, the team from the Queen's area, that is the delegation from Yabura Bikuni to Jerusalem the First, led by Konora Kenneth, and some other paramountries, Mankonra Atadi, Konra Jinkorde, the First, Sonara Amantana, and some other parties, led the delegation from the King's Palace in Damango to Beniri, just to know the areas where the conflict started. And actually, when they got to Beniri, they also went to check where the murder placed the first day. From there, the custodians of the land have to purify that particular area, pedagogical tradition and culture. So by pouring libations and also praying for the departed soul. And the Savannah regional minister, who also led research to the area, also spoke to the team who went first just to pray for the departed soul, said currently they need this in the area. And that is the only thing they need, because there is curfew in two districts, that is Bole and Tola district. And where the disturbances started, that is the area, as we say, everybody has left from the community. The only person we saw in the community was just a blind old man in his room. And the youth chief in Bole, popularly known as Kapala, actually gave him some money. And in the process, he said, even if you give me this money, no one is in this community to sell food for me to buy. Actually, some of the things were in talk of the man's speech. But as it stands still, all the Gonja people who went there actually told the regional minister that their worry is about the brave folks who are on TikTok, social media, saying other things that will provoke them. And that is what they are appealing to the Savannah Regional Security Council to actually speak to the Brayford or the lobby,
okay,
to speak to their youth to stop that.
Right, Rebecca Natoma, thank you very much. Thankfully, we have the Regional Minister for the Savannah region, Salisu B. Awuribe. Thank you very much, Minister, for your time this evening. First, help us understand the death toll. Is it indeed 31? And does it include the 6 who drowned in Lake the White Volta in an attempt to flee to neighboring Ivory Coast?
Yes, that is the figure that is currently given me. I stand to be corrected if it does turn out to be different. But in the mocks of Tamongo, part of Sola, Bole, and Carpenter, we have the death toll close to 25, in addition to other reported cases of some deaths, including the drowned people in the river. That's the estimated numbers rising to 31.
You are the head of REXEG in that particular region. What is the general security situation as we speak in the area? Is fighting still ongoing?
Currently, as we speak, the place is very calm. The communities are deserted. The mostly populated Brayford communities are deserted. A few old men and women around. We are aware that some of them have relocated to Cote d'Ivoire and in some of the police stations within the Savannah region, to which we are attending to them. But it is not as active as we used to have. But the fact is also that there isn't any fighting going on in any of the communities in the 2 districts.
You are turning to the people who have fled to neighboring Ivory Coast. Are you appealing to them to return? Is that what you're trying to say?
We are making various overtures to the traditional authorities. We just came out from a meeting with the king after we went to the ground with his paramount chiefs and elders. The elders came and briefed him. Exec also followed up and also gave our side of the narration. And there is a process set in motion. We are hoping that within the shortest time, when the process set in motion bears its full fruits, everybody will be more free to be around and to interact.
Minister, you did mention that peace or calm has returned to the area. How do you plan to sustain that?
Pardon me?
You earlier indicated that calm and relative peace has returned to the area. I'm asking, how do you plan to sustain that?
Yes, the sustenance is actually going to be done by the proper integration and the necessary mediation works ongoing. Because the security will only give temporal security, but the long-lasting security is the understanding of the roles, the rights, and the need for them to live together as they did or they were having before. This is the lasting solution that we are seeking to get. And we are very hopeful that we will achieve it within the shortest time.
Awurebe, he is the Savannah Regional Minister. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
You're still live, your news night is enjoying 99.7 FM. Right after business, opposition MPP boycotts scheduled meeting with National Peace Council to sign a peace pact ahead of tomorrow's Aquitia By-Election. We tell you why.
So we raised this issue. So unfortunately, we cannot continue the meeting. They have requested from the National Peace Council that they are going to inform their leadership. And for that matter, we need to give them some few time.
Want to stay with us for that and more business right after this.
Small money day, big money day, where too much money day. Telecel too much money promo drop. If you dial *500#, then join them. For the Telecel too much money promo inside, you will win 100 Ghana cedis cash for the daily draws, 20,000 Ghana cedis for the weekly draws, then 1.2 million Ghana cedis for the grand draw inside. That be 1.2 million Ghana cedis. You for just reload airtime, then get points with it make you win. Make you dial *500# or go the Telecel Play App top. Then book inside riders give the Telecel too much money promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Telecel, connecting energies.
This promo will be NLA where they regulate them for the Caritas Lottery platform top.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears. Bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
No. You look so relaxed and cheerful these days. What's your secret?
No secret, Kofi. I just sorted out my retirement with Shield Pension Trust. You should talk to them.
Retirement? There's more time before pension.
Share. The earlier you start, the better. And Shield Pension Trust makes this so easy for you. They've got amazing plans to choose from. I even signed up for the Shield Cedi Crow a Day personal pension scheme, which lets you save as little as 1 Ghana Cedi a day towards your retirement. Isn't that great?
1 CD a day.
Exactly. And the best part is, I sign up automatically on the Dachia Pomode plan, which guarantees me medical insurance when I go on retirement.
Hey, you've convinced me. I need to sign up now.
Kofi is making a move to secure his future and health insurance when he goes on retirement. What about you? Go to Shield Pension Trust or call us now on 050-915-0253 and we'll guide you through securing your pension tomorrow. Shield Pension Trust, into the future with you.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. I repeat, or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valex Lease, affordable document management solutions.
Fly Emirates to 5 destinations in the Chinese mainland: Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, and Shenzhen. Relax in comfort on board with our world-class hospitality. Explore up to 6,500 channels of entertainment and stay connected with free Wi-Fi. With daily flights from Accra to the Chinese mainland via Dubai, you can enjoy convenient travel that fits around your business schedule. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
You're live here on News Night on Joy 99.7 FM, and George Rafe is here with business. What's cooking?
Well, Evans, coming up, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers warn recent pressure on city could push petroleum prices higher than expected in the coming weeks. Fraud, tax offences and drug trafficking identified as major offences confronting Ghana in new National Risk Assessment report on money laundering. The business news on Newsnights is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Sintus Tanks and Precedents, Herbal and Charcoal. Let's now settle for the details. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is warning that the recent pressure on the city could impact badly on fuel prices in the coming weeks. Now, fuel prices are expected to go up in the coming days as part of adjustment done every twice in a month. Its Executive Secretary Duncan Amwa says things doesn't look that good due to the current pressure on the local currency.
There's some variance there that does not allow the 1 cedi, $1 a liter rule to fester. So as we speak, petrol in Ghana is just above $1 for 1 liter. And so anytime the dollar gains, it means that Ghanaians would have to pay more at the pump. So that pressure on the city is something you cannot run away from. It is our hope that the Bank of Ghana indeed would set up and work so as to ensure that towards the end of the year and again the importation pressure peak, it would not be allowed to affect the cost of fuel in country.
Duncan Amwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Now, fraud, tax offences, drug trafficking have been identified as the major offences confronting the country. That is, when it comes to the country's fight against money laundering, terrorism financing, and actually profiling financing as well. Now, despite these concerns, the National Risk Assessment Report argued that Ghana's overall money laundering threat has been moved to medium. It depicts that an improvement when it comes to its previous fight. However, the report was worried about the lack of regulation in the area of real estate, as well as the timely access to reliable beneficial ownership assets, which exposes the country to some threat as well. To other stories as well, more females are now being employed over their male counterparts. Now, that's according to a new labor report put together by the Ghana Statistical Service. The data, for instance, show that the gap has increased significantly over the past 2 years. Dr. Hassan Drisu is government statistician.
Females
have the greater share of the level of employment, with the sex difference increasing from about 632,000 in 2022 quarter 1 to about 1.12 million in quarter 4 of 2024. Though more females have been employed than males, like I mentioned earlier, unemployment rate is higher among females. The gender difference in unemployment rates narrowed from a peak of 7.4 percentage points in 2023 quarter 1 to 3.9 percentage points in 2024 quarter 4, in part due to substantial reduction in unemployment rate among females.
Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu. Now, partner and tax leader at accounting firm PwC Ghana, Aisha Bedwebe, has warned that Ghana risks losing trading access to the European market and the Western Bloc if it fails to abide by the European Union sustainable regulations. She explained the country could lose to a substantial share of its export revenue if strict enforcement of environmental, social and governance standards are not implemented. She spoke at the first Global ESG and Sustainability Reporting Summit organized by TSL Sustainability firm.
For Africa, engaging with the EU taxonomy is not optional, it is strategic. The risks arising from distancing ourselves are significant. African exporters in key sectors like agriculture, textiles, and mining are deeply integrated into the EU supply chains. If our activities on the African continent are not aligned with the taxonomy, we risk losing access to these crucial markets or will face prohibitively high compliance costs. Conversely, the taxonomy gives Africa a tremendous opportunity. African firms and governments can use it as a clear benchmark to improve sustainability practices, demonstrate commitment to global standards, and attract the large pools of sustainable finance looking for credible investments.
Bedwe Ibe is the partner and tax leader at accounting firm PwC Ghana. Now, the country manager for Visa Ghana, Fabrice Conan, has called on small and medium-sized enterprise businesses to consider using digital payments for their supplies and other expenses. Mr. Conan was speaking to Joy Business after a launch partnership with Zenith Bank to introduce a new Visa fleet solution for businesses in Accra.
In bringing visibility, in bringing optimization, you will probably save costs. And if you save costs, obviously it's help you to, invest in more important aspects of your business. So that's really the rationale, helping the SMEs to really optimize their costs so that they can focus on more important part of the business. There's no extra charge. Basically for the holder of the card, you don't pay to pay. That's the principle of Visa. As a holder of the card, you don't pay extra charge. Obviously for the merchants, from a merchant standpoint, the fuel stations, they really pay a commission, but the consumer doesn't pay anything, so there is no extra charge of that solution. Obviously, bringing that solution, as Zenith, who is pushing that solution to the SMEs and the corporate.
Fabrice Conan is a country manager for Visa Ghana. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Ma, have you received the delivery?
Sis, the rider's bay. Send in the momo.
Okay, *176.
Power. Don't you use a smartphone? Use a momo app, ne?
Huh? Abba app.
Hey, I want to say a millennium, say millennial. Inyim. Oh, millennium for ya nyaze. Switch to the app. Oh, you're smart. No, you're secure.
Enter a world of possibilities with the Momo app. Pay your favorite merchant, pay utility bills, and borrow from our wide range of lending services. Move to the app side today. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom.
Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
At Star Oil, we believe fuel is not just a commodity, it is a lifeline. Every cedi saved at the pump is a cedi that helps a mother send her child to school. A farmer transports food to the market, or a young entrepreneur deliver their first order. Our mission is to make fuel more accessible by offering consistently competitive prices, helping ease the financial burden on Ghanaian households. In a country where transportation costs can consume nearly a third of household income, this is not just business. It's a social responsibility. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
Are you clapping? Are you giving God the glory? Hallelujah! Every day you wake up shouting, my business is not moving. Customers are not coming. But look, my brother, my sister, who are you deceiving? Have you smiled today? Do you have the confidence to smile? Your face alone is chasing people away. Yeah! We all know that the problem is not a spiritual problem. The problem is a dental problem. She was saying, use Pepsodent charcoal toothpaste to remove yellow. Somebody shout amen.
Craft your smile with Pepsodent Charcoal. It removes stains and whitens teeth. This advert is FDA approved.
The winning season is back, but this time I am collecting the wins like jollof at a wedding. The luckiest season 3 is here. Your chance to flip your luck or maybe your bank accounts too.
2 easy ways to join. Dial *712#. Hit 1 to buy for you or 2 to gift a friend. Feeling lucky? Pick 1 for a random number or hit 2 to choose your own. Pay with mobile money. Done. You're in.
Or go to the luckiestafrica.com, click community tickets, choose your number, or let the system do so for you. You can buy a ticket for your boo or your favorite barber. Pay with Momo or card if you're abroad.
1 ticket could turn your 1 Ghana cedi into 500 times more. And the whole community could win 10 times over.
Dial *712# or log on.
Let's get lucky together because luck is everywhere.
Every mosquito started run away.
This advert is FDA approved.
It's a live on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM, and I want to take you to Aquitia because tomorrow morning there is a big election happening there. There's a by-election, and already the National Peace Council was hoping to meet both the NDC and the MPP ahead of the by-election tomorrow because of concerns that violence may simply erupt in the wake of the by-elections there. But we are learning tonight that the NDC and the MPP both failed to commit to a peace pact in Aquitia ahead of the by-elections tomorrow morning. Now, a scheduled engagement facilitated by the National Peace Council collapsed after the MPP refused to participate, citing the NDC's decision to present constituency executives instead of national representatives. Listen to Sheikh Arimaya Shaib, who is a board member of the National Peace Council.
As we indicated to you in the morning, we had earlier engagements, separate engagements with the headquarters of the two political parties, both NDC and NPP, took some concerns. Subsequent to that, we had a meeting with the IGP to address some of the concerns that we know had been raised. And then subsequently, we also had a meeting with the chairman of the Electoral Commission, also to seek to address what in our estimation will help us to have a peaceful election in Aquitia, contrary to what we saw at Ablekuma. The two parties earlier on were represented, but there were some issues of concern that needed to be resolved. And in the spirit of mutual dialogue and mutual respect, the two parties agreed that we should suspend the meeting. As it is now, our assumption is that because tomorrow is the election day, probably there's so much work that they are doing. So we are still around, hoping to engage. Probably if it requires that we still engage them in a separate meetings, we will do so. Our intention and our objective here, within the context of the mandate that created us, and that is to facilitate peace and to develop mechanisms to ensure that we have sustainable peace in the country, is in keeping with that mandate that we want to remain and explore avenues to really have meetings, separate meetings, still with the members or the representatives of the two political parties, have an election that is devoid of violence, and we will not see a repeat of what we saw during the Ablekuma elections. So briefly, that is the briefing that we will give you for now. Probably as we are with you, if tomorrow there is any new development, still we will meet you and give you some update.
Well, the MPP's national organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, has been explaining why the party has declined to boycott or has decided to boycott the signing of the Peace Pact.
So we raised this issue. So unfortunately, we cannot continue the meeting. They have requested from the National Peace Council that they are going to inform their leadership. And for that matter, we need to give them some few time. And then they will come with a proper and a well-represented team from the National Democratic Congress. So we could not conclude. We are waiting on them. If we are called, we have said that we fully commit to the peace process regarding the Aquitia By-Election. We have said it on several occasions, and we are going to repeat it again. So for us, we cannot continue with this meeting.
And indeed, they did not continue. We know that meeting collapsed, and so there's no peace pact. The Peace Council was hoping for that. As we are now learning, the police, they have now deployed 5,500 police officers to the area. They flooded the entire Aquitia constituency with police officers. Some of them will be armed just to ward off potential miscreants who want to inflict violence on people there in that area just because of a by-election. Guess who else is flooding the area with reporters? Join you, your election headquarters. We are there on the ground with multiple boots on the ground to ensure that you do not miss a thing. Leading the team there is my colleague Kojo Brace, who joins us live now. Kojo, give me a feel of what you have seen since you touched down.
As you stated there, the number of police personnel on the ground is simply amazing. I mean, if I'm not overstating it, after every 500 meters, you'd meet a checkpoint where the police are checking the cars that are entering a particular spot. You'd see the police cars in the town. I mean, they move about regularly, and not just once, but you see 2 cars, you see 3 cars, giving you the signal that, in fact, the police is here to ensure that the security of this election is protected. So, I mean, the security presence gives you that assurance that everything will go well tomorrow. I've also seen the parties preparing in the last minute, undertaking their last minute preparations to ensure that they tie the ends tightly to ensure that they have a grip on this particular election. We've spoken to people, we've spoken to people from both sides. I mean, both sides are in high spirit to win this election. But I can only say that the police presence I've seen gives me that assurance, even though the political parties did not conclude that particular meeting with the Peace Council, so that we can be rest assured that both of them are committing to the peace pact or accord. But at least the police presence gives you that assurance that everything, if indeed goes according to plan, this election will be peaceful. Evans.
Thank you very much. And Breeze and the rest of the team will be on the ground beginning tomorrow from 5 a.m. You want to stay with us. Your election headquarters are going to be all over the Aquitia By-Elections for you. If anything happens there, you hear it first here on your election headquarters. I want to stay here in the Greater Accra region because relative calm has returned to Omanjo and so to after last Saturday's violent clash that claimed 3 lives. The incident, which stemmed from tensions between rival groups in the two communities on the back of the Homowa festival, sparked fear and heightened security concerns among residents. Police have since intensified patrols in the area to prevent further disturbances. My colleague Pearl Fori was there for us and joins me in the studio with more on this. And Pearl, what did you find as far as the police visibility is concerned?
Well, I visited the whole community, Omanjo and also Sotium. You could see a lot of policemen there, also their vehicles stationed at vantage points. I visited the palace of the Chief of Sotum, that's Ni Osabukwe the first, and also visited the palace of the Omanjo Chief. I didn't speak to him, I spoke to the Queen Mother, that's Manyena Achawa Fellow the first. You could see the police station there to ensure that, okay, of course, they are to prevent reprisal attacks, because that's what we had on the ground when we visited.
So the people are concerned about reprisal attacks?
People are concerned about reprisal attacks.
What about those who died? I mean, there's a lot of talk about who they are, whether they are from the community. What did you establish?
Well, we can't confirm if they are from the community or not. I spoke to the Queen Mother of Omanjo, and she said that they don't know whether they are in the community or not.
Thank you, Pearl. Pearl's report subsequently, and there's more to this, though.
Yeah, there's more to this because the police released a statement on the back of this, and the latest from the police is that it has arrested 2 people over the Omanjo homo violence. That's the latest statement coming from the police.
Okay, by the police, they're on the ground in force.
Yeah, they're on the ground, yes.
Visible.
Yes.
Also. Pearl, thank you very much, and that's it for News Night tonight. My name is Mensah.
I am Kenneth. Gyasi, have a good evening.
You want to stay with us for the latest on the removal of the Chief Justice. You want to check many social media platforms because we have further developments there for you. It's on Facebook. It's also on YouTube and